jobs. That's going to be at the heart of a big talk today with the state's leaders and Governor Susana Martinez.
Yes, as a matter of fact, with cuts to federal dollars still pending in the next couple of months, that could mean thousands of New Mexicans could lose their high-paying jobs. Our News 13's David Romero is live at the Hotel Albuquerque, where this economic meeting is supposed to take place. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Elizabeth. Well, several topics will be on the agenda today, but the center of the discussion will be about jobs, and more importantly, for the thousands of New Mexicans who depend on federal jobs for employment. Now, according to a UNM study, about 20,000 plus jobs could be lost in New Mexico for workers in defense and lab positions. Now, with those jobs, depending on what lawmakers in Washington decide as to what will be cut spending-wise in the next few months, economic leaders here say creating more private sector jobs could help offset that. That means attracting more companies by doing things like restructuring how they pay taxes to the state.
That's why I believe the governor is so focused on how to attract the private, more companies and to grow the private sector. That could be a way to mitigate against the negative impact of reduced federal dollars.
Now, also expected to be discussed here at the forum later this morning are things like taxes and public education. Elizabeth, back to you.
All right, this is an important meeting. Thank you so much, David. The governor has been pushing, by the way, for more education reform, which she says could better prepare graduates for the workforce and, in turn, keep them working here in the state of New Mexico.
Very strange story here. TSA, Transportation Security Administration agents, could be at the Sunport as usual today, but they hope they won't find more of what they have come across recently, including 2 grenades. Yes, grenades. Take a look. These are pictures we got from TSA. Agents found them checked in bags at the Sunport. And live or not, you should know you cannot take grenades on an airplane. That's against the law. Agents also found grenades not just at the Sunport, but also in Salt Lake City, in Tampa, Miami, and Dallas.
He was an APD officer convicted of running a burglary ring while still on the force. Well, he's been released from prison for good time served, but his record shows that he was anything but good while behind bars. We're talking about Bob Davis here. He was sentenced in the early 80s for a 3-state crime spree. Now, according to prison records, Davis had some serious issues while behind bars. Not only did he escape from prison twice, he apparently had so many problems that he was sent to a California prison. Despite all of that, he was allowed to be released on parole. The reason? Apparently, if an inmate behaves after they are disciplined, they can earn their good time back.
Is reviewed thoroughly, whether the inmate has been in the prison system 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or 5 years ago.
Now, back when Bob Davis was convicted in the 80s, the law required him to just serve about 50% of his sentence if he behaved. Since then, the law has changed, and most inmates now have to serve at least 85% of their sentence. News 13 has learned that the victim in the Rio Arriba County murder recently shouldn't have been out on the streets in the first place. Deputies say 17-year-old Jeremy Lopez and 21-year-old Eric Rodriguez, both of Espanola, beat and shot 20-year-old Marco Baguette over a stolen PlayStation. Well, this victim has a long criminal history. He was sentenced to 2 years in the Bernalillo County Detention Center for aggravated battery. He was transferred to the Santa Fe County Detention Center pending another criminal charge and was mistakenly released in October. Now, police say the 2 suspects in his murder dumped Baguette's body near the Santa Clara Pueblo. They are now facing murder charges.
One man in jail in Valencia County right now accused of killing his own father after a fight about a dog. Sheriff's deputies say that Michael Roybal and his father Henry started arguing about Michael's dog at their home in Las Maravillas. Here on New Year's Eve, it was on Juniper Avenue there. Then deputies say Michael killed his own father. They're trying to figure out exactly how that happened. They say Michael did not use a weapon. All right, drinking and driving, a huge problem here in New Mexico. We hear about it and its negative effects far too often. Well, now there's a new plan that could help keep a lot of dangerous drunk drivers off the roads and highways here.
Yes, ignition locks have kept some drunk drivers off the road, but some still manage to avoid them by telling a judge that they don't own a car.
Most of them would be back into the court within a couple weeks and say, "Judge, I found a car to drive."
A new proposal hopes to catch drunk drivers before they even leave their home. Listen to this. It would require anyone convicted of a DWI to use a breathalyzer twice a day. The theory is that if someone is afraid to drink, they may not drive drunk again. Some say may not work though. The same proposal will also require drunk drivers to prove that they're sober for 6 months before they can get their license. A New Mexico detox center says a lack of funding may force them to close up. About 24,000 people take advantage of the Nanuzoji Center up in Gallup. The executive director says the Navajo Nation has been a big source of funding. In 2005, they contributed about $2 million, but that number keeps decreasing.
We know what they do. We know what they're capable of doing. And we're definitely thankful for their services.
The Navajo Nation says they're going to have an application process to give other detox centers throughout the reservation an opportunity to compete for funding. NCI is looking to get city or perhaps federal funding to help keep it running.
I remember a few minutes ago we mentioned that new private sector jobs up 215,000 last month. Unfortunately, first-time unemployment applications also up 10,000 to 372,000. This just in from the Associated Press and the government.